Okay, so if you, I've showed how to do the hologram coming out of the mouth of the drone. If you just want to do more standard, like it's just living, floating in space, totally fine. I just made a copy of it here so I can show you. So same dealio, if you just take the footage and just drop it in with an over, you're going to see it like a ghost. You might not, depending on how some people's it seems to pull in a little differently, but make sure you change this to plus. It's going to give you the correct result. After this, you basically got to see it's huge, so we want to get this down to a better size. So the easiest way to do that is going to be with a corner pin. It's like a straight up corner pin, not a tracker, just a plain old corner pin. So if you just drop that in there, you can see if it helps you have to be viewing your final image, but you can see the points. They're all zoomed out. But I can grab them and just like a poster on a wall, I can reposition these. So I'm going to kind of get that roughly where I want it. And, think about parallax, think about how stuff would be naturally showing up on things. But kind of position your stuff however you like it. When you're happy with that, you're pretty good. I can't see it very well, so I'm going to do, if you watch this one, you know what I'm going to do here, but otherwise I'll just kind of redo all of it. I'm going to put a grade, and if I crank up the multiply, it's going to brighten the brights. You can see. If you crank up the gamma, it's going to kind of lift the partially shady looking areas. So different combinations of stuff, you can play with it and see what you want. You can add color, you can kind of really add whatever you want to it. So play around with these, get it how you're happy with it. If you want a value that's higher than these sliders, you can do that. You can just literally like type it in, or whatever you're after. So let's say I'm happy with my hologram like that. Then I'm going to always want to make sure I have a glow. Holograms don't look like holograms until they have a glow. It softens everything out and just makes it feel hologrammy. So you can play around with the settings in here if you want, but usually the out-of-the-box stuff is not terrible. So now I have basically a locked-in-place hologram. But if I play this footage, the wobble of the camera and the camera move and things is not going to be translated here. This is literally going to be glued here for the entirety of the shot. So I need to add a tracker. I need to add a tracker match move to it. And I already have the data I need from when we pulled a track on this little area to give the drone. So I'm able to use the exact same stuff. There's not enough of a difference here that anybody's going to really see it. If not, so it'll be perfectly fine. But I'm basically going to open up this node where we tracked that thing. And I'm just going to make another match move. Now if I come down to my stuff and I hook it in, and I'm going to hook it in before my color corrections. I like doing them before. So it moves it over a little bit. You may need to reposition it a little bit, but now it'll be hard to tell on here, but it'll basically be glued in place. It'll move properly with the camera, which is what we want. So that is good. If you want to do that kind of like animated on effect, you can definitely do that too still. That would just be a transform before everything else. So before the corner pin, because if you view, you can kind of see why. Like if you go to here, it's going to be weird and small, and if I do a transform, it's going to be kind of weird. If I do it here, it's going to affect everything, which is what I want. But if you open up a transform like this, if you click the little 2 by scale, it then lets you have full independent control over scale. So I can animate this on and kind of like coming into frame. That in combination with playing with like the mix slider on your merge would be like how you could power on the hologram or have it flicker on or do whatever you like for it. But that is how you would go about that. So then this would essentially be glued in place properly with the camera. It'd feel like it's floating right above this screen. You could roto out this lamp if you really wanted to be extra with it. You could do a whole bunch of stuff. You could color different parts, cut out different parts. But then the last little bit you'd want to do, just to keep things clean, is put a crop. You're not going to see anything from this, but if you view over here, you can see this is a different image resolution because this file was bigger than we need. So we just need this crop to get us back into, that was the resolution, to get into the realm of where we need it to be. And sometimes this changes with project settings, sometimes they don't. So just make sure this is 2048 by 1080. And then you click on reformat And now it matches. If you look over here, you'll see it looks the same. You don't see any difference when I turn this node on and off this crop, but it's actually doing under the hood stuff. And it's just making sure everything is nice and neat and tidy so we don't have any mistakes. But this would be a perfectly valid way to do your hologram. The only other thing people asked a lot for some help with was if they wanted it. So like if you look at the footage of the hologram, at the start of it, it kind of powers on. So if you want your animation to start with that, like if you want it to start in that point, basically, you can do that really easily with a node called time offset. So time offset works by basically taking your clip and think about like the positive numbers you give it, slide it down the timeline this way. Negative numbers, slide it backwards. So if I know this clip starts at frame 1 and at like frame 100, 103, I want it to start, I could literally just say like 103. Now it starts at the very beginning down here instead of at frame 1. So that would be how you could play with values in here and get it to go to start how you want it to start. So if you kind of like power on. So a bunch of different options. Find the ones that work best for you with this. Next up, for the last video here, I'm going to go real quick through some of the kind of polishy stuff you can do to make this look really, really nice.